Okay, this is going to be, I guess, part 4 of our reassembly. Because we took this car completely apart. I mean, everything. Drivetrain, subframe, everything. So, I still got to get my other door on. But I need to move the car over or turn it around. But to do that, I got to get my bumper out of the way, and I figure might as well go ahead and bolt it on. So I've got a plethora of tools ready to go. Figured out which size all the nuts and bolts are, what wrenches, sockets I'm going to need. And I'm going to get this bumper reassembled with all the various brackets. And it's got a little foam bumper pad. I got to get that riveted on. So we're going to get going on that. Alright, I've got my bumper pad riveted on and all the little brackets on it, and it's ready to go. So now I got to get up under here and bolt in these bumper brackets. That way we can put the bumper on there, and this little hood release bolts up inside the bumper there. So we'll be able to mount that as well and get this ready to put the front nose piece on. So we're going to go ahead and try to get these bolts up inside the frame rails and see if we can't get them tightened down. Alright, these are the original bolts and they've got these splines on them, and I'm assuming that when the factory put them in, they left them loose, adjusted the bumper, and then tighten them down, and they bite into the frame and the brackets. So I'm trying to put them back in the original splines that they created in the frame so that the bumper will be back to its original spot. So got to get up through this frame and find the original splines, and let's see if we can't get this lined up right back where it was. I think that's gonna be good. we can get this bumper on here without dropping it. And this side lined up. This side. Okay, well, looks like we need to go that way. No, maybe not. Well, we're going to have to put the cover on and find out. Alright, get the rest of the nuts on there and do a little adjusting. See where we're at. Alright, now that we got our bumper all bolted on, I decided I need to start getting some of my trim pieces cleaned up. These are fiberglass and aluminum, so I don't want to do a bunch of sanding on them and put a bunch of scratches that I'll have to fill later on. So I'm going to try some of the paint stripper and see if we can get some of this old paint stripped off of it, because you never know what kind of reaction you're going to get putting new paint on old paint. If it's a different type of paint, it can bubble up or just do weird things. So we want to get all that all cleaned off so that we can get some 2K primer on there, because we're going to use 2K paint. So let's see how this is going to work. Alright, got these all stripped down, wiped them down with acetone. They come pretty clean. Had to use a little 400 grit to sand a few of the stubborn spots. And we got some pits and a little bit of crack here and there. But for the most part, they're in pretty good shape. Got cleaned out up in there. You have to excuse the noise from the road. But anyways, we got them pretty well cleaned up, and I'm going to go ahead and set these aside for the next time that I mix up some epoxy primer and put on a bunch of coats, and then kind of hand sand them down so they'll be ready for paint. Now I got to get my main spoiler piece stripped down and get it cleaned up, and we can do pretty much the same method as we did here. One little trick to this is that when you get it to start to blister up with the paint remover, before you go to wipe it down, you put on a quick layer, and then immediately you can just take dry paper towels and wipe big clumps off. If you let it dry out, it just smears and sticks on. But if you kind of re-wet it, it'll come off, and then after that use a little acetone and wipe them down. But they turned out real good. So I'm gonna go ahead and start getting this dude stripped down. Okay, spoiler came out really clean. There's a couple little tiny residue spots. Take some 400 grit, sand them out. There's a few chips in the primer, but it come out really nice. Of course, I didn't video wiping them down with acetone because it's almost impossible to operate a camera with slimy rubber gloves on. So, but here we go. We got a lot of the trim pieces stripped down and ready to put a bunch of primer on there, fill in all the little pit spots and sand them down, get them all ready. So something had to be done. It's a little bit time consuming, but got them done. Still have to do the shaker hood that goes on top of the carburetor, you know, all those little pieces and stuff. But we'll keep going at it until we get everything all cleaned up and in primer and ready to go. Trans Am. And in our last video, we fitted the door to the fender and patched the fenders. And now I need to get this passenger door fitted up. But before we do that, we gotta fix some holes and a dent right there. I took off the little bumper guard and sanded down all the goo that was on there. But we got some rust pitting here and bad spot here and some holes. So we're gonna go in here and cut this out and repair this and see if we can't get this dent worked out of it. So here we go with that. Okay, this is what we got going on. I cut out this strip along here that had all the rust pits in it, and I left a little bit of the lip, and I left some gaps on either ends so that as I weld from the middle out, we got some expansion room and it won't want to buckle on us. So I'm going to get this tacked in somewhat here, and then we'll come along here and do the cut and butt and lay that down and do a nice butt weld along in there. So go ahead and get going on this. Okay, I did my cut and laid this down, and I got my little butt clamps all along in here, and so far it looks like it's fitting pretty good. So now we can start in the middle and work our way either way, and hopefully it won't warp too bad. right, after a couple of evenings of welding, I got this long strip all welded in. And surprisingly, not a whole awful lot of warpage. Got a little low spot here. But I gotta go ahead and get this all sanded down really smooth and then fill in whatever little pits might be. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that all smoothed out, and then we can move on to patching here. Alright, I spent all day yesterday trying to get the dents out of this and the warpage, and still more rust here, So I decided, well, I'm gonna have a change of plans. I'm gonna go ahead and peel off this door skin, just order another one. I think it probably just turn out better in the long run. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel this door skin off. All right, got the door skin peeled off. Gotta get the rest of this lip off, grind out spot welds, and we need to do a little rust repair. I think I'll replace this lip right here and get this thing all cleaned out and get it ready for when our door skin comes in. Alright, getting ready to repair this lip right here, and I'm using a little bit wider strip because if I was to cut it off about 1/2 inch, it would want to warp all over the place. So I got this 16 gauge, about 1.5 inches wide, get it all welded in there, scribe a line and cut it off even. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this welded up. Alright, got it all welded on and smoothed out. Got my line here. So now we can go ahead and trim it down to size. We'll go over here and fix this lip. Alright, got my little corner piece all reconstructed. Got my lip all the way down here all repaired. And I cut out this rusty piece and made a little piece to fit up in there. Gonna go up in there like so, and we'll get that welded up and smoothed out. Okay, I got my patch filled in and smoothed out. Got my lip all repaired all the way down. Little corner repaired. Got everything just about ready to put the new door skin on. So, just gotta wait for the door skin to come in. We'll do a little more cleaning up and go ahead and start putting our door skin on. Okay, we ordered the door skin from Summit on Monday. And before noon on Wednesday, it's here. Gotta love it. That was fast. So we're gonna open it up and see if I ordered the right side. See if we can get this unboxed. Okay. It does appear to be the passenger side. That's a good thing. All right. I think we'll go ahead and start getting ready to fit this to the door. Okay. She says the door is dirty, so she's gonna clean it up.
Well, it is dirty.
All right, now that we got it cleaned up and we got good access inside the door, I'm gonna go ahead and spray it down with some etching primer. There's a few spots where the original primer didn't hold, so gonna get sprayed down good, and then we can go ahead and start putting our door skin on. All right, well, I'm waiting for this to dry. I got my bumper brackets, the rear bumper brackets, fresh out of the dip, and I got to get them dried up and get some etching primer on them before they flash rust. Got to do a little bit of repair on the studs. Yeah, they were pretty rusty, broke off. So we'll put some new studs in there and weld them in place. So we're gonna go ahead and get these dried up and painted. All right, got the door sitting on the door skin, and I did some little tiny tacks right here at the bottom so that the door skin doesn't shift around on me. So I'm gonna commence the hammering the edge over. Okay, I got all 3 edges hammered down on the door skin. Got it pinched down really good. You gotta keep hammering against your dolly until you hear that clinking noise, and then you know you got it pinched down really good. I went ahead and put the little tacks on the top of the door right back where all of the factory ones were, and that's held on there pretty good. So I think we can go ahead and try to fit this door to the fender and the rear body, see if our body gaps are going to turn out anywhere near close. So I think we're going to try to get it up on my transmission jack and see if we can get it bolted in there. Alright, took me the rest of the day, but I've got the door mounted and I got it adjusted where I want it. The door skin was a little long up here. I had to cut a slot and bend it over. Looks like I'm gonna have to take a little bit more and go farther down to get that curve right. But other than that, turned out pretty good. I've got my fender set on there and a couple bolts. It's gonna take some more adjusting. Quite a bit actually. But I think I'll come in tomorrow and see if we can't get that fender to fit the door a little bit better. Alright, after a couple of hours of back and forth and up and down and shimming, I got this fender fitting pretty good to the door. It's got a decent gap. There's enough clearance to open and close the door. There's a little bit of a gap down here. I'm going to take some of this 1/2-inch rod, or 1/8-inch rod rather, and put it up in there and weld it up just to fill in that gap a little bit. And where I did my patch here, it's going to need a little bit of filler, but other than that, I got this little spot over here where the curvature ain't quite right. I'm going to cut that a little bit more, weld it up, smooth it out, and I think I'm going to leave the doors on permanently, and the fenders will come off, and I'll clean all this up, and I'm going to jam everything with the exterior paint, and then bolt on my front end, bolt everything on except for the hood, the rear bumper, and I think at that point then I can really do all the fine little body work. But for now, we got to get this fitting just a little bit better. We got the other side done, and we're going to go ahead and get going on that. right, I am really happy with the way this door skin turned out. Got it to fit the fender. Got my little patch down here fixed up. And the gap looks really good here, even across the top. Come down here, ends up just right. And I got my gap straightened out here. For some reason or another, that door skin just kind of went the wrong way, but it turned out pretty good. So we've got both doors and both fenders fitted. Of course, in our earlier videos, you probably saw where we got our quarter panels and all the floor pans in. But I was hoping to get a little bit farther along on this video, but of course we had the fiasco with trying to patch the door skin. So I think I'm gonna this is where we're gonna end this video. Next time around, I'm gonna try to fit the front and rear bumper covers, get them all lined and everything, and I gotta still clean up my hood. Needs a lot of sanding and cleaning up. Got to make sure that's going to fit right before I get everything bolted on. But we appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you around next time.